Shock Monkey Radio is entertainment for adults, by adults, and the views and opinions expressed here do not reflect upon the sponsors or FXBG Public Radio. For additional information, please refer to the United States Bill of Rights. Stand warned. If you were a lady, who do you think would be a better lay? Green Lantern or Mr. Fantastic from the Fantastic Four? Now, I don't know if you know, but Mr. Fantastic is the stretchy guy. He's the guy who could stretch every part of his body, like expand it, make it bigger, and so forth. Do you see what I'm driving at? The Green Lantern, however, can make force constructs with his, and if his ring is charged enough, you can have him create, I don't know, green eggplant. You know, whatever you're into. You know what I mean? They both can get, like, fill you up, you know what I mean? Get all the fingers in the right holes, you know what I mean? Ugh, that's too direct a metaphor. But I think maybe it'd be safer to hook up with Mr. Fantastic. Because I was thinking, like, if you were a lady, like, what superhero do you think would be, like, the max hottest superhero to date? Because of the powers, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. I think Green Lantern. Sorry to jump right into the sex talk. Ooh, it's so dirty. Welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. I'm your host, the Madman. Welcome to the show. I want you to go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. There's still three patron packs available. You become a patron, I'll send you a patron pack. Has the Shock Monkey Radio beach towel. I should probably have had a picture ready to show you. Shock Monkey Radio beach towel, the Shock Monkey Radio playing cards, and the Shock Monkey Radio beer holder thingy. I don't want to say the... Yeah, it sounds dirty. You think it's because of slang for a vagina?
I never heard of
a coos? You never heard of coos?
I never called it that.
I never did either. It's a ridiculous word. It's like turd. That's a ridiculous word. Why would you want to say that unless you're referring to it on your podcast? Wow, I lost my one viewer. More of you will watch it later. I know we jumped over 200 subscribers this past week, so that's good. Even though I had a week off, because is it okay if I mention your Popeye-ness?
Yeah.
EK had to have immediate emergency surgery. No, immediate emergency surgery. Immediate emergency surgery. Okay. So had to be done, and now he looks like Popeye. Was there a vasectomy involved too? I was hoping there's something good.
Not yet.
That could come out. Not yet. Anyway, so we had to cancel the show. I put out some more videos, just more me playing video games and watching body cams and so forth. You can check that out on the channel. This is a live show, though. It's a different thing. You can also send me money to Cash App. Use Cash App Shock Monkey Radio. And you can follow me on social media over here. We're also on Facebook. It's not on there, but it's on Facebook, Shock Monkey Radio Redux. Sign up to Patreon. Become a patron. You can get yourself a patron pack. That's like a $70 value. I was talking to this guy about it. Like, man, I can't believe comic books, man. Comic books are so woke these days. I'm in a heroic kind of mood. I feel like, give me a power ring. Let me out one. I could be so awesome. But I was having this conversation with this guy, like, I can't believe how woke comic books have gotten. And I was like, they always were kind of woke. I grew up, reading a lot of Batman and stuff. So I like Batman. And I noticed in the 80s that, like, Batman had this aversion of firearms, and I didn't like it. And it's like, I understand, you think it's the weapon of the enemy. They rely on it for courage and so forth. And I agree with you on that part. But guns are like the modern weapon. They're the modern sword. So, I mean, why wouldn't you use them? And it became a thing. It was like, this is the weapon that killed my parents, so I'm never going to touch one again, kind of thing. And it's a very, like, anti-gun kind of element within Batman, and I didn't like that. So it's like, that doesn't make much sense because wanting to be a superhero is a very masculine and conservative power fantasy, you know what I'm saying? And that didn't fit anywhere for me. But then I looked into it, and in the Silver Age, there was tons of references to the civil rights movements. There's even a Green Lantern comic book where, like, hey, this black guy comes up to a Green Lantern on the street and like, hey, I hear about you helping these pink-skinned people and these blue-skinned people on all these other planets. How come you're not doing anything down here for for the black-skinned people. You know, there were some preachy elements, woke preachy elements, even in the Silver Age, the 60s and so forth. I'm not saying it was a bad thing, but the entire X-Men series, the entire X-Men was birthed on the idea of civil rights, of racism. And no minority on Earth, no minority in America is treated as badly as mutants are treated in the X-Men comic books. You understand what I'm saying? It was always a metaphor for a civil rights movement. Comic books were birthed out of newsprint, the news media, and the news media has always had this liberal bent, and that's why you get that Green Lantern and Green Arrow comic book, because nobody wanted to buy a Green Arrow comic book until Green Arrow started spouting off liberal nonsense. All right? It's always been an element of comic books. We can't be surprised that it's gone to this point. We can hate it all we want. We can dislike it all we want. You could have loved the first Iron Man movie when it came out. I sure did. I was happy to see that in a movie, on a screen. And then, just like everybody else who watches all these comic book movies, it just said, because they're taking what's interesting about the property and making it boring because, we can't just have a white Green Lantern. We got to have a black Green Lantern. We got to have a woman Green Lantern. We got to have a pink-skinned alien. We got to have 3 different Green Lanterns on Earth. Why does this sector get so much attention? I don't know. 2814? If that's correct, there's something wrong with my mind. The data that I do store against the data that I don't. All right, I'm starting to warm up in here. Anyway. I love comic books, is what I'm saying. I wish they were better. Because I've stopped reading them. I've stopped reading comic books. I have the ones that I love, like the graphic novels back, and they're older. They're older books. We're going to do a How to Man Up. How to Man Up. This may be controversial. Take it, with a grain of salt. Take it as you will. Because you know your own capabilities. And you need to know how to operate in this world and survive in it. I get it. But this may be controversial, but how to man up, fight. Don't film. And I don't know, I think maybe I was just watching too many videos on X on Twitter. And I see people, like a fight will break out, and there's a ton of men just standing around. Whoa! Hey! What you doing? There's lots of people standing around, a lot of men in particular. All right? What are you doing? Get involved. It's our duty as heroes. It's our duty as moral men, as moral Christian men, to apply violence in order to stop unjust violence. All right? And you pray to God for the wisdom to know the difference. All right? What you don't want to do is you don't want to have humanity end up at a point where it's either fight, flight, freeze, or film. You know what I'm saying? You don't want that. Men need to take charge of a situation. I don't know, if you're at an amusement park or something like that, some guy smacks his girlfriend, and they start, swinging on each other. Be a man and separate them. And hopefully that'll inspire other good men around you to assist you. All right? I know this is controversial. I know I'm saying fight. But you need to stand up for the right thing if you're there at that time. All right? And I'm not saying you need to pull a gun or anything. What I'm saying is that, you need to use your training. I don't know about you, but I have training and knowledge in the combat arts. But it's been a long time since I've seen someone smacking somebody. There was this one time I was coming out of a bar and there were these 2 adult males arguing, and then they started fighting. I considered that not getting involved. You know why? That's mutual combat. I'm okay with mutual combat. But if you see like a bigger guy slapping a little guy, or a woman, even like a bigger woman slapping on a smaller woman, get in there, grab their wrists, and say, no, that's not how we do things in polite society. But when you just stand there and film, that just proves you're a beta. There's plenty of betas, and let the women film it. let your heroicism go up on the internet, go viral, for good or for evil. You need to participate in the moment, is what I'm saying. I understand that everyone wants to go viral. I understand that everyone wants to be noticed. But that is not nearly as important as protecting the innocent. So when I see a fight break out and there's a bunch of able-bodied men standing around just filming, I get so angry at the indifference of good men. You're better than that. I'm sorry, did I sound sad? I think our buddy's calling you. I can see your phone from here. Can you see your phone? Okay, all right. So I had a good memory jar loose recently. I want to talk about. Do you remember, like, I don't know, I think it was like 99, maybe 2000. It was Christmas time, and I was home on leave. I was in the Navy, and we went to Walmart. And you remember how, like, Walmart and, like, there was Sam Goody and stuff like that, and you had all those rows of cassette tapes and CDs, and they're all in the racks. The big plastic things, white plastic things that they had to take them out of when you bought, so people would quit stuffing them down their pants. You know what I mean? I was with my dad and we were shopping in Walmart, and we were looking over the albums, and this man, I don't know, I guess a little younger than my dad, comes in with this preteen female, young girl, and he comes walking over and looks over left at the rack there, and he's like, "Oh, look, it's Bruce Springsteen. You know that song, The Streets of Philadelphia." And it was such a horrible rendition of the song. I mean, it's not a very good song to begin with, but how he did it, "The Streets of Philadelphia." And my dad and I looked at each other like, is this guy for real? And then I looked at the young girl who saw our reaction. Me and my dad looked at each other. And this preteen girl just has this look on her face, like mortified, like, and then she does this. She does the full eye roll and like kind of tries to walk away. But the guy's still going on. He's acting like he didn't see all this happen. All right. I know he saw us react to it. I know he saw her reaction. But me and my dad, like, we just kind of like mosey off. We back away, like, oh, we're gonna get out of this because we're biting our lips, trying not to laugh. All right. And the dad's like looking through this, like, oh, the Ben Folds 5, you like that group, right? And she's like, it's just one guy, you know. And he's like, what are you talking about? And like, as soon as we're out of the music section, me and my dad is like, can you believe that? It's like, yeah, I think he did that on purpose. And at the time, I really didn't understand why dad would want to embarrass his teenage girl. But now I have a niece, and she's getting of that age, and I'm starting to think about those days, about how I generally am not like embarrassed about anything. So I remember as a teenager, I drive around with my girlfriend in the car, right? And we're broke, we didn't have anything else to do, so we're driving around the car, and I'd like go through an intersection, and somebody's like the light starts up, and we start moving, and there's somebody in the left turn lane, and I'll drive by and I'll stop and I'll slow down, blow the horn, and like wave real quick at this stranger, and they're like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" You know, and they're like, "I gotta go," and then drive off. And my girlfriend sank down in the seat. She's like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you did that." And it's like, why are you embarrassed to brighten that person's day? Because that person would be like, who is that friendly guy? I must have known him from somewhere. He's so friendly, it's not like I would miss him. I would forget about that guy. Who was he? I don't know. And so now I'm getting to that point where like my niece is getting to be the preteen, and I'm like, I can't wait to embarrass her. I get it. I finally get it. Good memory. You have any of those good memories? I do too. I try to focus on those. The bad ones do creep up. Have you ever seen that video about that guy who's like, I got the copper wire, and he's like, I'm almost done with the copper wire. Bought it 20 years ago, and it's just and it occurred to me that I have a similar thing in my life, and that is my next petroleum jelly. I bought this petroleum jelly like 1997, 1998. I don't know if you know what a Navy exchange is. A Navy exchange is where it's like a Walmart for sailors and Marines. And if you've ever been a fat guy who has to run a lot, you'll get chafing in your legs and under your arms and so forth. What do you think I use this for? Get your head out of the gutter. You know what I'm saying? Just because I was in the Navy, I need a petroleum jelly? Like, this is issued to us? No. I got the chafing, so I was like, I'm going to need, in 1997, I'm going to need some Vaseline to smear on this this rash I got on my thighs and under my arms. And I still use the petroleum jelly to this day, but it's almost gone. I'm almost out of petroleum jelly. I remember I bought this and I was like, I'll never run out of this. I thought it's like the number of jars of petroleum jelly you need to buy in your lifetime cannot be more than one, but apparently it is. And I don't know what I'm going to do. I might have to switch brands to Vaseline because I can't go to the next anymore. They won't let me in and buy their cheap petroleum jelly. Just another sailor. Just another sailor who misses his petroleum jelly. Oh, I understand the implication. All right. Am I boring today? No? All right. No more than usual. I want to talk about one more thing, and this is like the wheelchairs issue in D&D. I don't know if you've played Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know if you play games. Where's that sneaky little monkey going? But there's like a recent controversy, I guess, in the new edition of Dungeons and Dragons. I don't play it because I play like more enlightened games that don't do stupid woke things. And I'm not saying that putting a character who has a disability into a role-playing game is a woke thing. It's not. It's if you want to role-play that, fine. I don't give a shit. But I think that Dungeons and Dragons is limited in scope. We play Heroes Unlimited, which means any kind of hero, anywhere in time, history, space, whatever you can imagine, any kind of hero, you can role-play it in this game. Dungeons and Dragons is limited in scope into the Hobbit era. Into where elves and fairies and swords and wizards, you know what I mean? It's that kind of world, and it's kind of locked into that. You could say that the technology of wheelchairs is, it's absurd to think that we know more about how to build a wheelchair now than we did like 300, 400 years ago. It hasn't really changed, other than adding electricity to it. It hasn't really changed that much in terms of design. All right. Plus, you had characters in Game of Thrones. A character in Game of Thrones who is disabled. Terrible casting call because his kid sprouted like a basketball player during the course of filming. But he was a disabled character. EK and I were talking earlier about how you can create it like a mystically bestowed character, a Shazam type of character, who is disabled, but he can call upon and go Shazam and become Captain Marvel. And the point of playing role-playing games is to play someone more powerful than you are, not necessarily less powerful. However, in the spirit of Heroes Unlimited, you can say it's like, yes, my character is disabled, but he's a mechanical genius and builds all these different mechs. Carry him from one mech to another. He's got a robot that grabs the shoulders. Like, okay, we'll put you in a new mech while that one gets repaired by the nanobots. You know what I'm saying? It's playing a disabled character is another way to roleplay. And generally, as a game master or something like that, I would say, wouldn't you want to play someone more powerful than you are? He's like, no, I want to be a different person. This person I'm playing is disabled and also a mechanical genius. You know what I mean? And I think a character has the right to play any character they want. And if they want to put him in a wheelchair, who cares? I played a character who was in a wheelchair. Like Jackrabbit came back. And I said I wanted to hide by pretending I'm in a wheelchair. And I just got fed up. And I want to run and fight and beat people up. Which is what I like to do when I play role-playing games. I like playing on dumb, powerful characters. I got over there trying to think my way through a game session. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so what I really don't like is in games like Magic the Gathering, these more mainstream games like Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering, they've done a lot of changes in the name of wokeness. Like in Dungeons and Dragons, from what I understand, like some races aren't necessarily inherently evil. Skin color doesn't denote race, and they took away like the half, like you're half elf or half hobbit or something like that. They took away those half races or something like that, all in the name of like wokeness. And it's like all of this stuff it just nerfs the game more. You know, Dungeons and Dragons, as I said, is already very limited in scope, and now you're putting more and more training wheels on it so that people aren't being offended. I've also seen like a game master consent form where you like fill out things. I don't want you to talk about this. I don't want you to bring up that. And it's like, get bent. We're playing a game. I'm not your therapist. You know?
I'm for it in the other respect.
What for the?
Not, I don't want to talk about these. I want to see these.
Are we picking you up on the mic?
If I talk loud enough.
Yeah. What do you need? You need to clarify that.
Like, I'm all for players saying, I want to see more of this.
Right.
Not necessarily, I don't want to encounter this.
Right. I would rather, yes. It's like if players like say, hey, instead of doing like this weird political thing, you want like, remember when I did that adventure where the Antifa people were passing out knives in the crowd? And you could have said, can you do less adventures that are like politically motivated? Considering how you feel about Antifa. We're trying to get out of the real world. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, that's fair. That's fair to say. All right. But if you say it's like, I don't want you to talk about gay things. I don't want you to talk about like insults any race. I don't want you to bring up anything about my mother. Stuff like that. That's the wrong way to go about gaming. Anyway.
Instead of Antifa, can it be ogres and elves?
Right. Well, no, because ogres aren't necessarily evil. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to start bringing all that stuff in there. An NPC, like, for example, NPC races. You remember that Key and Peele bit, the Kanye the Giant?
Yes.
That's excellent. If you haven't seen that, that's a great Dungeons and Dragons bit. He tells him it's like giants are generally evil characters and they're not played by player characters. Well, I'm be a giant, yo. All big. And he lets him play. Absolutely. I think a player character should be allowed to play the character they want to play. But
expect the NPCs to be like, oh my god, a giant!
Exactly. It's afraid you're still a giant. And they're going to be scared of you because most of you are evil. All right? And maybe even just straight up attack you. So there's that you got to consider when it comes to role playing. Anyway, let's get into the news. No movie review this week. I might go on a deep dive next week on the Warriors. It's survival in the city. I watched it like 3 times this week. And I'm still going to watch it again. All right. New president. I don't know if you heard. Got a new president. It's Donald Trump. Donald Trump's the new president. So what's he been up to? So Trump's FBI overhaul puts untouchable feds on notice. Wouldn't the untouchables Weren't they the Treasury Department? I think they're the Treasury Department. They're not, the FBI aren't the Untouchables. The Treasury Department. All right, so President Donald Trump has promised to usher in a newer era in America's top investigative unit, the FBI, with day one changes being implemented as key senior roles were reassigned. The agency shakeup began with when former FBI Director Christopher Wray, who was nominated by Trump in his first administration, announced last month that he was stepped down from his post, hours before Trump was sworn in, and acting Director Paul Abate, similarly, stepping down. The AP reported, citing a person familiar with the matter, that a longtime head of the Justice Department's official internal affairs, Bruce Schwartz, was reassigned along with as many as 20 other staffers. On Monday, the White House announced Brian Driscoll as acting director of the FBI. Driscoll's time as acting director will presumably end when Kash Patel, is that really his name? Kashyap? Kashyap. How, that's unfortunate. There's no way your parents could have known that Cash App would get invented. You know? That's unfortunate. No wonder he goes by Kash Patel. Throughout former President Biden's term, the FBI was entangled in repeated scandals, prompting President Trump to promise to root out corruption in the FBI and the DOJ. That's why those guys stepped down. It was like, oh, corruption, that's me. I got to get out of here. Former FBI agent, Fox News contributor Nicole Parker told Fox News Digital that Abate's retirement was a good idea. He had to have known that his days were very much numbered, or likely very much numbered. It's been widely publicized and well known that Paul Abate was involved in pushing the raid at Mar-a-Lago. Also, he was involved in pushing the Jan 6 misdemeanor cases that worked rigorously at the FBI. I imagine that he knew, rather than being removed upon Trump's arrival, that it might be best in his best interest to just move on. It's probably some good idea on his part, she said. Of course. All right, so if you're one of those anti-Trumpers, you're probably saying, see, he's going after his enemies. It's like, you understand that the crazy legal, like the way the government went after Trump, the media and the government went after Trump, was the highly illegal part. That was the blood that was drawn. And so Trump's going to go overhaul the FBI because so many of these January 6 guys do not belong in prison. So many of them. Sure, there's some people who committed violent acts and deserve to be in prison. However, it's not like they got into due process. It's not like they got charged. They've just been being held until a new president came into office. Yeah, some of them are being let out, but I'm still pissed about it. I think our government owes them an apology and probably even a big check. You know what I'm saying? And it's all because this biased acting federal agency. The deep state is agencies like the FBI. And the FBI is probably the most egregious because of what they have done. The raid at Mar-a-Lago, all the charges on the January 6 people. These people they still think January 6 was an insurrection or something like that. There was no guns. Did you see the footage? They were waving people in. Yeah, there are some people getting in fights, cops getting beat up or whatever like that. Yeah, those people belong in jail. But you are waving old ladies into the Capitol building, which has been occupied many times since then by liberals, and there's no fuss about any of that. These federal agencies, these deep state agencies, are a hot mess, and Trump's going to take out the trash. I'm not saying we don't need an FBI. What I'm saying is that it's been corrupted. It's been corrupted by its political bias. And these agencies should not have a political bias. All right, next story. DOJ to investigate state or local officials who obstruct immigration enforcement by a memo. Justice Department wants federal prosecutors across the country to investigate state or local officials who obstruct immigration enforcement under Donald Trump's new administration, according to a new memo obtained by Fox News. Obtained. Do you think it was sent to them? We're going to send them a memo. It's like a press release memo. but Fox News says they obtained it, like they went seeking it.
Nice.
Yeah, you're padding your resume there, pal. In the memo, acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove, forgive me, Trump's former defense attorney outlines, quote, interim decisions and policy changes pending the confirmation of Trump's nominee for U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi. He said interim changes are necessary as the initial response to Trump's executive orders regarding these three of the most serious threats facing the American people. Those threats, Bove wrote, are cartels and other transnational criminal organizations such as Tren de Aragua and La Mara Salvatrucha, which is MS-13, which are a scourge upon society, resulting in an unstable and unsafe border and huge flows of illegal immigration in violation of U.S. law. The memo said in the second threat of how brutal and intolerable violent crime by members of these organizations and illegal aliens is escalating rapidly across the country. The third threat, defined by Bove, is how the fentanyl crisis and opioid epidemic are poisoning our communities and have inflicted unprecedented toll of addiction, suffering, and death. Yes. See, everyone's freaking out in these departments because you got to work today. I don't know, Department of Justice. I don't know, FBI. Time to do your jobs. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry you've been farting around for the last 4 years. All right? But it's gotten to be a mess. It's gotten the fentanyl coming across the border, these criminals coming across the border. You got to clock in today. That's what the American people pay you to do. All right? And for far too long, you're not going to arrest people like this. You're not going to, there's just too many illegal. We're too racist a country to arrest criminals, especially if they're Hispanic. We got to give them free hotel rooms and a charge card so they can go buy whatever they want. You know what I mean? On your taxpayer dime. That's what we have to do. But no, you've been turning a blind eye to friggin' gangs like MS-13 and Tren de Aragua. You know what I mean? Saying, oh, we can't arrest people because arrest kind of sounds like racist. Racist arrest. They sound alike. So we're not doing it. Time to clock in. Time to do your job. And, it wouldn't have been so scary. Because I understand it's scary to think about, oh, we got to go up against MS-13. Yeah, break out the vests and the rifles. You know what I'm saying? You should be scared, but you let it get to this point. Time to clock in, time to do your job. All right. I don't know. Every single, I watched the inauguration through Daily Wire. I watched the inauguration through Gavin McInnes. So I've seen the inauguration 2 or 3 times. I don't know if you saw about this bishop, the prayer the bishop gave. Anyway, Trump excoriates bishop as radical left hardline Trump hater after politically charged prayer service. We can start all using the Trump voice now, right? I hear he hates it. I've heard that he hates people doing an impression of him. That makes me want to do it more. Right? Like I said, he's the president now. I can go back to hating him. I don't have to pretend I like him. He's been married how many times? And his mutant son. You see Barron Trump? Oh my God, that dude's tall. Trump is 6'3", and Barron is almost half a head taller. So Barron's got to be 6'7". I wonder if he could play basketball. You think you get to a point where you're too rich, you can't play sports like a normal kid?
No.
Feel bad for that little autistic kid. That gigantic autistic kid, I should say. All right, let's talk about Trump here. President Donald Trump blasted Marianne Edgar Boudet bishop of the Episcopal Diocese of Washington, after she directed politically charged remarks towards him in an interfaith service of prayer for the country at the Washington National Cathedral on Tuesday, the day after Trump's inauguration. This is a quote. "Let me make one final plea, Mr. President. In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. They are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives." She went on to say that the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes and they're good neighbors. I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away, and that you help those who are fleeing war zones of persecution in their own lands to find compassion and welcome here, she said. Trump bashed Buddha, B-U-D-D-E. Anyway, it seems like you're in the wrong business. Right trade, wrong denomination. I don't know. He blasted her on Truth Social, suggesting that she and her church should apologize to the public. The president also pointed out that there are illegal immigrants who have entered the country and killed Americans. This is a quote from him. "The so-called bishop who spoke at the National Prayer Service on Tuesday morning was a radical left hardline Trump hater. She brought her church into the world of politics in a very ungracious way. She was nasty in tone, very nasty. Not compelling or smart, she failed to mention the large number of illegal migrants that come into our country and kill people. Many were deposited from jails and mental institutions. It is a giant crime wave that is taking place in the USA." Apart from her inappropriate statements, the service is very boring and uninspiring. She is not very good at her job. She and her church owe the public an apology. Women shouldn't be clergy. They shouldn't be cops. They shouldn't be soldiers. Anyway, because they're easily misled on things like this, and she represents everything that is wrong with churches these days. Churches have been seeing like a strong downtick in attendance. People aren't going to church anymore. All right. And so a lot of them have started becoming woke in order to fill seats. And that is the wrong thing to do. And so you've gotten to this point where you have a woman bishop. That's not a thing. Episcopalians. A woman bishop, who is easily misled by, the fads of social change. And then they use their pulpit as a pulpit to tell people how to be woke. Instead of teaching them, I don't know, what's in the Bible. You know what I mean? The Egyptians come running when the Philistines are coming. Oh, we got to understand the Philistines. We got to give them hotel rooms. We got to give them money to spend in our city. You know what I mean? And my mind went into this weird circumcision tangent. It's like, you're doing what with the baby boys? What? Oh, we're gonna have to go to war with you because that's kind of weird. I'm sorry. I have mixed feelings about circumcision. I don't know what to think. I had no choice in the matter. I don't remember it. Anyway, weird how my brain went there. I think I was the bishop because it's kind of slang for anyway. I'm sorry. Shall we go on? So liberal parents struggle with Trump voting sons, New York Times reports. I like this story because it's almost like people are surprised. Like the New York Times is, wow, weird. Liberal parents are now the ones clashing with their conservative sons after the election, according to the New York Times article that was published on Sunday. Quote, when Eli brought a Make America Great Again hat home from college this summer, Alex Baer threw it into the corner of his bedroom. They argued about guns, immigration, and abortion, struggling to do so without permanently damaging their relationship, the article read. It continued, the facts don't matter to you, Alex Baer wrote in a moment of frustration during his text exchange about Mr. Trump's legal battles. Love you. Have a good day. That's a nice little addition. In a twist of the old dynamic, this is the sentence I love. In the twist from the old dynamic of liberal children fighting with the conservative parents, Callie Halterman wrote that some progressive mothers are struggling on how to handle their sons voting for Donald Trump. I'll read on a little bit more, and I don't want to come back to that. Some liberal parents aren't so sure they should try to intervene. Plenty see their sons' embrace of Mr. Trump as an expected act of rebellion or a choice made by an independent young adult that they should respect. For others, they feel it's like a painful rejection of values they tried to instill in their children. I've had to do a lot of soul searching, and reading about it is about it to not feel like I failed as a mom. Jeez Louise. If anything, you've succeeded with your son. It's funny. It's like, I remember when I was like 18, 19. Like, hey, mom and dad, I'm 19 now. I graduated high school. And that means I'm like super smart now. And I know everything that has ever could be known. We've all been there, right? So I just want to let you know I'm not going to church anymore. And I think abortion's okay. I just want to piss you off because you're my parents. Thanks for paying the rent. And my parents are conservative, and that's what the sentence is about. It used to be the liberal kids and the conservative parents. It's like, yeah, you've turned the liberalism of like the 1960s into a school marm nightmare. You can't say this, you can't say that, you can't use this hand gesture. You can't call that a Roman salute. We all know what it really is. All right? You've become the oppressor, the oppressive, there's a word in there somewhere, the stifling oppression of your liberal sensibilities. You all right? No, son, you don't call them black, you call them African American. It's that kind of stuff that raws on anyone's mind, and they're going to turn against you. All right? That crazy, huh?
Call Elon black then.
What?
Fine, call Elon black then.
I don't care if it bothers me that Elon is white because he came from South Africa. I don't know if you know how race relations in South Africa have been. I don't know if read much about that. That's why I don't necessarily want that guy getting too close to our government. Anyway, see, there's nuances to conservatism. All right? But just assuming that if your son likes Trump, he's I tried to make him anti-racist. Just because he likes Trump doesn't mean he's racist. All right? In fact, he's likely not. Most people aren't racist. Okay? You guys have been picking the corpse. This is what Gavin McInnes says. I'm admittedly stealing it from him. You have been picking the corpse of racism for like 70 years. There's no meat on the bone. Okay? Nobody is interested in being racist anymore unless you keep calling people racist. Then those people are going to start becoming racist just to spite you. Like your son is just liking Trump to spite you. But if you're reasonable, if you make sense, if you use logic and tolerance, maybe you can accept that, the world isn't going to end because Trump got elected. I have plenty of friends, like I'm sure you do, who are liberals that think, ashes are raining from the sky. Trump is, my skin is burning. My skin is burning. And you're standing there on the corner just eating an apple, looking at this guy like, he's like, yeah, what are you panicking about, man? I know it's a cold day, but the sun's out. The world isn't coming to an end. Grow up. Feels weird when I say something like that. I mean, I just spent the whole first half of the show talking about comic books and pee-pee jokes. Sorry. Still a man. I have to live in this world. All right, let's get 2 happier stories and then we're done. I don't know how happy this is. I don't know. It makes me happy. Indonesian woman rescued by fire department after nose ring gets stuck in a chair. Wasn't the strangest call. Well, it is Indonesia. I'm sure you get a lot of weird calls in Indonesia. I went to my pharmacist. I'm not going to say where. I went to my pharmacist today, and the chick had like 5 pieces of metal in her face, and I just put this. Just assembled my notes, and I had to go to the pharmacy, and I just put this in there, and she had all this metal in her face, and I was like, I want to see you get stuck on a wicker chair. I want to see that hat or hammock, you know, like you accident, like a hammock swings into your face, and like it's caught, you know. Come and cut you out. Anyway, the Indonesian woman can breathe clearly again after firefighters rescued her from captivity of an office chair. Young woman was at work in Bandung City, Indonesia. Bandung? Really? That's a little on the nose, don't you think? You should Bandung. She managed to get her nose piercing stuck in the mesh back of an office chair. What was your face doing near the... Anyway, according to a video obtained by Viral Press. Her co-workers attempted to help remove her septum ring from the chair by yanking it, but were unsuccessful and ultimately called the fire department. No. No. All right, call the fire department. I can cut it. Incident wasn't the strangest call we've ever had, firefighter Mahkamad? Or is it Mohammed? Alam Priyabadi said. Firefighters also attempted to free a woman at the office, but ended up wheeling her to the fire station. Where they had more tools to complete the job. In an attempt to lighten the mood, the firefighters joked with the woman about cutting off her nose or needing to use a chainsaw to release her from the chair's grip. You know, if I was in Indonesia and somebody made that joke, I wouldn't think it was a joke. You're in Indonesia after all. After goofing off with heavy-duty tools, so they like dragged her down the street and say, "Look what this chick did." Like, oh, come on, guys. Come on. Keep going. We're almost there. Look what she did. Everyone's laughing at her. Spitting everywhere today. All right. The woman was not injured during the removal. They were able to accomplish it in about 5 minutes with a pair of pliers. We've had cases involving freeing a finger stuck in a window latch, removing a stubborn ring from a private area, oh God, oh man, I don't even want to think. Helping a child whose finger was stuck in the table. A lot of people getting their fingers stuck and stuff. Priyabadi said, it's all part of the job, but the nose piercing incident was one of the most entertaining. Well, I think you made it entertaining. Anyway, that's funny. I hate face piercings. I saw like an interview with Morgan Freeman, and he's got this diamond earring, and I was like, dude, I used to respect you. I do not like piercings. I particularly don't like them on men.
Forever, though.
Yeah, I know he's had it forever. But he and women, when you get all that metal on your face, it doesn't look sexy. It doesn't look cool. I mean, I remember when, like, every now and then you'd see a chick with a nose ring right there, and it's like, oh, that's kind of sexy, but not really. Then you start doing the septum thing, and it's like, now you look like a cow. And most of those chicks that have the septum pierced, they're cow-shaped. You know what I mean? All that junk in your face. And the tattoos. There's so many tattoos here. The one place I want to look the most, what I want to look at on a woman the most is this in this area. Okay? And now you're putting tattoos all over that, and it just gets in the way. Drive me nuts. Let's talk about beer. Coors Light becomes Monday's Light for a limited time after a misspelled ad. This is awesome. Coors Light has now a literal case of the Mondays. That was terrible. Who wrote this? Let's find the name. Peter Burke. You could do better, Peter Burke. The Molson Coors Beverage Company announced this week that Coors Light will be repackaged as Monday's Light for a limited time. Coors Light seems to be making the most of its spelling error that appeared in a national advertising campaign debuting on Monday. The ad was supposed to read Mountain Cold Refreshment. Instead, it said Mountain... What? Mountain Cold Refreshment. Instead, it said Mountain Cold Refreshment. Did you make a typo in this article? Coors Light acknowledged a mistake in a statement that began with the following: "We had a case of the Mondays," and a case of beer. You get it? Coors Light wants to thank everyone for letting us know about the errors. The statement continues: "Mondays, am I right?" Yeah. The ad was misspelled. Of the misspelling appeared in the print publication of the New York Times and on the giant digital billboard in New York City's Times Square. Oh, I see. Refreshment. R-E-F, refreshment. They misspelled refreshment. I missed it. My mind assembled it correctly in my head. R-E-F-E-R-S-H-M-E-N-T. So they're calling it Mondays. Coors Light apparently soaked up the criticism and critical comments it received on social media, taking the blunder to a whole new campaign and tied it to the upcoming Super Bowl commercial. "What's our refreshment?" One person wrote in a Coors Light Instagram post of the misspelling. No matter how you spell it, it's still so good and refreshing. Mistakes happen, and if you can accept that in life, like for example, if you're an ad exec working at Coors Light and you hired this company to write this ad, and you find the misspelled ad, you come to your boss and say, this company screwed up the ad and they misspelled this word. Everyone's making fun of it on social media. And it's like, why don't we just roll with it? Why don't we just say, hey, mistakes happen, and and it's easy just to change the printing on the boxes. You know what I'm saying? We switch the boxes to Monday's Light for a little while until the Super Bowl, big game's coming. We do that, and that will probably boost sales. It's literally, making lemonade when life gives you lemons. You know what I'm saying? And that's the right way to move through the world. It's like, hey, mistakes happen. You can roll with it. You can roll with it and have fun while you're doing it. Because it's a clown world. We're living in a clown world. It's easy to make fun of clowns because the clowns are everywhere. They're here. They're on the show. I am very certain that every single executive producer on the show is a clown. And I wouldn't have it any other way. So this has been Shock Monkey Radio. I want to remind you again that I go to Patreon. Patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. And you could possibly get a patron pack. You send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag ShockMonkeyRadio, all one word. You can follow me on social media at DNALETSAW on Twitter. That's the word Wasteland spelled backwards on Twitter. At SLRobbins13 on Instagram. And Shock Monkey Radio Redux on Facebook. This has been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the Madman. And I love you.